Is it better thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Is it better thinking? I know you think that, like, you had a thing with Martina Navratilova.
What do you mean I have nothing? What do you mean?
A beef. Yeah, well, she has beef with you.
Why did she have a beef with me?
Because you think, like, guys with dicks should get in the women's swimming pool, basically.
Oh, no. Well, whatever got clipped and reposted, I don't know. But what I said was that
Go ahead, Neil. Take your sweet time and think about your answer carefully. What is up, everyone? In this clip from the Club Random podcast, we have Bill Maher versus Neil deGrasse Tyson, two intellectual heavyweights going head to head over one of the most polarizing topics of our time, which is the gender sports argument and the so-called woke culture. This is one of those debates where you'll be yelling at your screen, laughing at the absurdity, and maybe even questioning your own sanity. Because Neil is going to make some absurd takes that I honestly really can't describe for you other than just to show you. So let's just get into this clip where I'll be giving you my unfiltered take as we go through it.
In this emergent space where you have people expressing themselves on a gender spectrum, and you want to now compete in sports, that's still a frontier to be solved. And I don't have the answer, but I can suggest one, whether or not it'll work. Maybe we don't compete by gender anymore. We compete on hormone ratios, okay? There was a woman who had uncommonly high testosterone levels, and they wanted to disqualify her because of how manly she was when she was born a woman and competing as a woman. So that's how we're going to do it.
You know, this is
what you really want. Wait, Bill, no, I've thought this through more than you might think I have.
Oh.
So what you really want is an interesting contest between people who are similarly talented. The least interesting Super Bowl you could ever watch is a blowout by halftime.
See, what we agree on is that there are anomalies in human nature, whereas,
yes.
You know, the vast majority of people, I'm sorry, are still male or female. And certainly every cell in our body is dictating one of those other sexes. I mean, obviously,
the hormones are. Yeah.
Obviously, also I make sperm and other people make eggs.
That's what hormones do. Yeah.
You can't deny that. Okay. So but as liberals, I think agree that, you know, there are anomalies in nature and they should be respected and protected. But this attempt to reorganize all of society around what a very tiny percentage, who again we can protect and respect without pretending that every baby is a jump ball like penis. What the fuck? I don't know. That doesn't mean anything. We have no idea what this child is. I mean, that seems to be where you want to go. I mean, like, how many people fit this description that we should reorganize sports around? We have men's sports and women's sports. And if the best team in the WNBA played the worst team in the NBA, the score would be 1,000,000-0. Can we organize society around that basic point with this, of course, proviso that we protect and respect people who do not fit into it?
Let's segregate society between dark-skinned people and light-skinned people, because that nature made it that way, and that's how it is.
Well, nature did make it that way.
Alright, I think this is a perfect spot to pause because Neil just dropped a weird-ass line. He's comparing gender separation in sports to racial segregation, and honestly, it's such a weak argument. Mixing genders in sports is a terrible idea, and anyone who's actually played sports knows why. Imagine a high school football game where a 200-pound male linebacker is tackling a 130-pound female running back. That's not just unfair, to be honest, I think that's dangerous. The size and strength differences between men and women are very real, and pretending they don't exist doesn't make them go away. Or take basketball. The average NBA player is 6'7" and can dunk with ease, and the average WNBA player is 6 foot, while incredibly skilled, doesn't have the same physical advantages. If you mix the leagues, the women would be completely unmatched. And Neil's argument is that we should reorganize sports around hormone ratios or some metric is just dumb. Hormone therapy doesn't erase the physical advantages that male athletes have developed over years of testosterone exposure. It's not a level playing field, and pretending otherwise is ridiculous. Gender separation in sports isn't about oppression or discrimination. It's about acknowledging biological reality and ensuring fair competition, and honestly, it's just about common sense. This is just the first of many dumb points. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this point in the comments as we go into the others.
And it's not segregating.
Well, there was a
segregating
time,
anything.
That attitude 150 years ago was
2 years ago. You act like this was yes, right. Lincoln. This was a big issue in the Lincoln-Douglas debates. Trans people. That's right.
No, I'm talking about
I
black,
remember
white.
that from
I'm talking about
1861. Yes, I remember those debates.
It was 1860.
And Lincoln was all about getting trans. Oh, for fuck's sake! You're ridiculous.
No. So here it is. Just all I'm saying is that. How about this? I'm looking at schools in Manhattan. And there's a school there, and there's built in the 20s and 30s. And there's a doorway that says boys, and a separate doorway on the other side of school that says girls. And I'm thinking,
God!
Why are we doing this?
Because people are mostly boys and girls?
But why split them entering a school building?
Because they pee differently? Jesus Christ! I have to explain this?
No, because you know what I thought when I saw that? It's colored fountain over here, white fountain over here. That's what I thought when I saw that.
Well, that's not the same thing.
Well, it's not exactly the same thing, but that's what I thought. It's not exactly, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Alright, so to be honest, I'm not sure if Neil meant that separating doorways from entering the school or specifically talking about bathrooms. Because obviously, depending on what he meant there, I would be giving you a different opinion. Separating doorways for boys and girls in schools isn't some kind of segregation. It's practicality. Boys and girls have different needs, especially when it comes to things like bathrooms and locker rooms. To be honest, this is just generally where the woke argument starts to feel less about equality and more about erasing basic biological realities. It's like saying let's get rid of all labels because they're oppressive, but sometimes labels exist for a reason. Again, I'm not too sure what Neil meant with that statement because that's, I think, two different levels to this argument, but I think Bill understood it as he's specifically talking about bathrooms, which is why he's reacting like this.
But this is what I always say about these kind of issues. There's two ways that you can be benighted about something. One, you can be too far from it.
Yeah.
Like, I would be too far from certain issues, racial issues, of course. How could I ever know?
Right.
You can also be lost sort of thinking-wise, as I am, because I'm too far from it, if you're too close to it.
Yes.
You
miss the elephant.
Well, you miss the elephant. It's the fly on the Mona Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fly wants to be on the Mona Lisa, I don't know, and I can't even appreciate art, but okay, you get my point. And so, I think when you see that, I totally understand why a man of your age does, but I don't think it's accurate.
So I used to wrestle, high school and college. Okay, it's relevant to this conversation, believe it or not. So I was captain of my high school team, undefeated. Although,
wow,
but it was in New York. The real wrestlers are in Iowa, and Oklahoma.
Oh, I'm sure there's some wrestlers.
There's some, but if you really balance it out,
New York
it's
has
not.
no tough guys?
We got tough guys, but they'll shoot you or punch you in the face. They're not wrestling with wrestling moves. But anyhow, what you want is a match that's interesting to observe, not where one person dominates the other. In wrestling, they know this. There are 10 weight categories. In high school, I was 190 pounds. That was 50 pounds ago or more. I was 190 pounds. Very good incentive to stay there because if I were 1 pound over it, the next category was unlimited. So I was there at 190 pounds. I'm not wrestling someone 127. No, they find somebody else at 127 and wrestle 127. That makes the match more interesting for the viewer. So if we can split wrestling into 10 categories and that becomes the wrestling match.
But all men against each other.
Correct. So,
okay,
so
again,
now I get
sort
that.
of key point.
Okay. Okay. So all I'm saying is, what is it that makes the man the man? Is it the hormones? Okay. Is it if it's the hormones and you decide to give yourself a different cocktail of hormones? I'm making this up, by the way. I'm not saying it should happen this way. It's a way to start thinking about it.
It would be
maybe the track meets have hormone categories.
And maybe giving yourself the wrong hormones is deleterious to your health. Would you not admit that?
Another awesome point by Bill, and Neil's reaction is, well, let's just say not convincing. Bill's pointing out something that a lot of people are too afraid to say. Hormone therapy isn't some harmless, consequence-free decision. It's a serious medical intervention with long-term effects. Like, this kind of thing involves altering the body's natural chemistry. For biological males transitioning to female, that means suppressing testosterone and introducing estrogen. And for biological females transitioning to male, it's the opposite. Testosterone is introduced at levels far beyond what the body would naturally produce. These changes don't just affect appearance, they impact everything from bone density to cardiovascular health. And the thing is, we don't fully understand the long-term consequences of these treatments. There's growing evidence that hormone therapy can increase the risk of blood clots, heart disease, and even certain types of cancer. But instead of having an honest conversation about these risks, the woke crowd acts like it's all rainbows and unicorns. And here in a second, Neil's response is basically going to be, oh, you're so concerned about their health now. But that's just a deflection. Of course, we should care about people's health. That's the whole point. If someone is considering hormone therapy, they deserve to know the risks. But instead, we're told just to go along with it and not ask any questions. What do you guys think? Is Bill right to question this health implications of hormone therapy, or is Neil's dismissal justified? Let me know in the comments below.
Do you think we can just safely do things like this?
So you feel this way because you're so deeply concerned about the health of the people who are trying to find their place on the gender spectrum? You care about their health so much that you don't want them to go through that?
It's not something that keeps me up at night, but when the subject comes up, I care about them like I care about all people. So if there is something...
You do, by the way. You think about all people.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Oh, okay. You're being
sincere? Think about all people. No, I'm being sincere.
Yeah, I do. Yes. Yeah. Old school liberal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want all people to have, make this very challenging world that we live in better. So that's why there's honest debate about this issue.
So there it is, more or less a breakdown of this heated debate between Bill Maher and Neil deGrasse Tyson, and whether you agree with Bill's skepticism or Neil's idealism, one thing is very clear. This conversation isn't going away anytime soon. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. If you agree with the points that I made, if you agree with the points that Bill or Neil made, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.